Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Chris.
We're here to eat brains.
We've got Vince.
From Birth of the Demon to Birth of Venom, it's me.
All right. Hi, and I'm Kia. Hello. You said brains, and then you said Birth of a Demon, and I was like, no one's gonna know what the heck we're doing. It's Venom. We're doing some
Demon
Venom
in a
today.
bottle, not Birth of the Demon. That's a completely different comic story.
I'm sorry.
I cocked up my intro. That didn't even make sense to begin with.
It's all right. So hi everybody. We are talking today about the first appearance of Venom, specifically way back in Amazing Spider-Man number 298. But technically, it really gets going in number 300. So we just figured we'd read those three issues: 298, 299, and 300. And yeah, the reason? Well, Tom Hardy has just been cast as Venom, but did you really need a reason to read some Venom comics? Nope, you really didn't. And let's see. A good creative team here. You've got David Michelin, who I don't know if I can remember ever reading anything else by him. He's, I guess, was a bit of a mainstay in the 70s and 80s. He wrote a little bit of everything. Wrote Spider-Man for about 7 years, pretty solid.
He wrote Demon in the Bottle, the Iron Man alcohol story.
Yeah,
which isn't that good, but is a monumental story.
Right, he had a couple of pretty long runs on Iron Man as well. I think Superman too. He did The Wedding of Superman, also The Wedding of Peter Parker. He's one of the few people who's been on 2 wedding issues. Good for him. Loves that love and romance and those relationships.
Oh boy, howdy does he.
And then on the art, you have Todd McFarlane, of course, famous for Spawn. We haven't talked about him too much before on the show. He was on our Batman Year 2 episode, which, definitely wasn't his most important work, but
yeah, he's come a long way already.
Yeah. He did Spider-Man for a long time, and that's really the book that kind of made him famous before he went on to sell toys and get his animation studios and all that sort of stuff going. And Image Comics,
Yeah,
Image Comics, that's right, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, boy, these guys do everything, don't they? So let's get right into the story here. I mean, at this point in the story, okay, we have to know where we are with Spider-Man. I was a little confused because he's wearing the black costume, right? But it's not the alien. So like back in the 80s during Secret Wars, he was out in space and he finds this black costume and he starts putting it on. He's like, okay, this is cool. And then he finds out it's a living thing and it's evil. And so Reed Richards helps him destroy it with a sound gun or something, because the symbiote, the alien symbiote, hates sound, right? And then he also has to go to a church bell to also make it leap again, because it didn't work the first time, right?
And that's pretty consistent with how it's done in the comic or in the cartoon, the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. I think in season 1.
That's how I remember it, yeah.
Episode 6, 7, or 8, somewhere around there. And then also the Topher Grace scene in the Spider-Man 3, now 10 years old. Mm-hmm. But I just you.
Can I just, while you bring up Topher Grace, I am so shocked that they cast Topher Grace as Venom, because to me, he looks exactly like Tobey Maguire.
Well, I think that's what they were.
He's a foot taller, Kia.
I don't care.
I think that's what they were going for. Is they were trying to go for parallels. If Peter went evil, he could have become Venom. Kind of like how they're toying with Luke Skywalker becoming possibly Darth Vader in Return of the Jedi.
Sure.
I think that's what the casting was going for.
He's his dark reflection. Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. That's fair.
But I think I was like you. My understanding. I guess I'd always thought he finds out the black suit is evil. He gets rid of it, goes back to normal red and blue Spider-Man, and that's it. And so it was really weird for me to be like, no, I got rid of the alien costume, but I'm still wearing the black duds because they're cool.
Yeah. I just really like that outfit, so I'm going to keep wearing it.
Yes. It was the status quo for a little while, where basically he had a version of his red and blue costume and a version of his black costume that was just a regular costume. And then, they don't even reference it in this story, but prior to this, in either an issue of Amazing or in another one of his regular series, his regular costume is destroyed or damaged somehow. And he's like, oh, well, I'll just wear the black one for a while.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And it
yeah.
and it looks like so. I mean, spoiler alert: the end of this series is when he decides to go. What we're reading is when he decides to go back to the red and blue permanently.
Mm-hmm.
Permanently, yes.
Ish, But I didn't realize he was in the costume for 4 years. The black costume from '84 with Secret Wars till '88 with this story.
Till this.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
that's a
really.
long time.
It's really on and off. I mean, like Spectacular Spider-Man, because it was the more like crime kind of focused book. He would wear it more.
Oh, really?
And then, Amazing was kind of the all ages book, and so he'd wear his red and blue most of the time. So
I kind of like that.
It was interesting, yeah. It was kind of a weird status quo. So it's not like every issue he'd have the black costume.
So did the web still, when he had his black and white costume, did they come out of his like the top of his hand like Venom's do?
No, it's just like his regular costume, but it's black.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
'Cause-
So this first couple of issues is him kind of running around doing his adventures with the black suit.
This book starts just like Batman Year 2 did, with a vigilante who is not our hero killing an FBI witness who's actually a criminal. It's
I don't
just,
remember any of that happening, Vince. I don't remember any of that.
That's what this
how
start-
little I cared about that part of the story.
This guy Chance, he's a rich white dude who's just kind of bored.
Chance the Rapper?
Yeah, Chance the Rapper, that's who it is. He's just wearing a cool baseball hat and having sick beats and rhymes. Yep, that's what Chance the Rapper does, right? He's really funny. He did Jingle Barack. I like him a lot.
That's right, Jingle Barack. That was great. This is not Chance the Rapper, though. Sorry, it's just some dude with a jetpack.
It would have been a lot better with Chance the Rapper, but
it would have been, man.
But it's just a bored rich white dude who decides to kill state's witnesses who are actually criminals in witness protection for fun.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
for money. For money.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't even do it
money.
for money. He does it for the thrill of the bet. He bets his fee. I don't even get it. I don't even understand. So, like, does he waive his fee and just kill them if he loses?
Yeah, that's what it's double or nothing on. Look, he's a hired mercenary, but then you're like, okay, well, here's the deal. You pay me $50,000 for this mission. The deal is you can either pay me $100, or if you win the bet, you don't pay me at all.
So what's the bet? That I don't kill him?
Then
Then he shouldn't get paid at all because he didn't do what he said.
No, he did do what he was supposed to do.
But if he,
This guy's just tricking people into charging double. That's all he's doing. He's
But if
saying
he-
double or nothing. If I kill him, then you got to pay me double, and if I lose, then I'm dead, and it doesn't matter.
That's true. That's true. That does sound like what he does, but he does it in every aspect of his life. Like a cabbie is like, hey, cabbie, I bet you can't get me all the way across town in 5 minutes. And he's like, okay.
I mean, that's like win-win, though. You get to your destination fast, and it'll cost you a little more, but, it's pretty good. And if
Yeah,
he didn't
so-
get you there, then it's free.
Yeah, that's true. So
Okay,
I guess that's just the way this guy lives. He just doubles down on everything he does.
All right, I changed my mind. I want to see more of him. I'm back in on the chance train. So, I mean, none of that matters too much. There's an evil corporation, blah, 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 blah. Really, what's more interesting is what's going on in the background. Peter is not having much luck as a photographer. Like, his job's still there, but he's not making a lot of money, whereas Mary Jane is successful, way more successful than him.
There's
and she
nothing-
wants to move into a new home.
there's nothing more men hate than their wives making more money than them. They hate
God,
that
it's the
so
worst.
much.
The
It's
worst.
such a relatable story, and it's so sympathetic.
And he's sad because he can't contribute to this new apartment that they need, and she's like, dude, fine, I got this. Chill, it's all right. And meanwhile, of course, you've got dudes in shadows. Wouldn't be a Spider-Man book without a dude in a shadow, right? Spoiler alert, it's Venom. But for these first couple of books, he's just a dude in a shadow.
There's a dude in a shadow with black Uzi stuff coming on him, and you're like, who is this guy manipulating
What
behind
is
the
this?
scenes?
And he's got clip outs of Spider-Man. Oh, this can't end well.
The actual
So-
Birth of Venom trade has got a ton of issues. Me and Chris were looking at what we should read, and I was like, I don't even know if we should read 298 or 299 because they're not going to have much to do with Venom other than probably a
They
final
don't.
page.
No, but I'm glad we did. It is nice to see the Mary Jane stuff.
Yeah, it's mostly for the Mary Jane stuff. So Peter gets the idea. He's like, oh, I feel like I'm not contributing, blah, blah, blah. And he gets the idea to have a sexy night with Mary Jane.
So he dresses like He dresses like a Chippendales dancer, which I had to ask.
Yes.
Which I had to ask my wife. I didn't real. I knew Chippendales was like a thing, but I was like, was it only a thing in the early '90s, late '80s, and isn't like that big of a deal now? And she told me, no, the Thunder from Down Under, which is an Australian Chippendales-esque group, that's the big thing now.
I see.
And I also thought it was really funny because I guess Mary Jane made a mistake and brought home a friend from work.
Yeah.
Didn't tell Peter.
And Peter's so embarrassed.
Which, I'm surprised Peter's never been busted as Spider-Man because Mary Jane, in both of these issues, brings home friends without telling Peter.
Well, his spider sense normally warns him when he's actually in danger, but it doesn't warn him from embarrassment.
Aww.
And so he just...
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I feel like this era of Spider-Man... we see a lot of these kind of like ooh caught you, like weird jokes like that, like almost like if you were casting Spider-Man during this time period, you would cast John Ritter from Three's Company as Spider-Man. Like, yeah, I think it'd be great. He would have made a great Spider-Man.
That actually,
I would have said Michael J. Fox, but yes,
that'd be good too.
I like John Ritter as that. I was gonna say, I think it's also funny that Peter wears his robe. He doesn't even change out of his Chippendales outfit for dinner. He just wears a robe over his Chippendales thing for all of dinner. And Mary Jane wears her fishnets from work for like the entire dinner also, which I just found was kind of weird. And then the second their friend left, I wrote this down and I had to Urban Dictionary up because Peter offered to give MJ the Venus butterfly, which I looked up.
Oh yeah, what was that?
It's oral with fingering, and it's also a sex toy. So. Could have been either.
Oh my goodness!
So it could have been one or the
Crazy.
other.
Whoa! Hey, this is comics for kids here, Todd McFarlane.
Yeah. I mean, these things are pretty racy. There's a time a little bit later when MJ's like, "Oh, he's so sad about the money. I need to get his spirits up. Here, why don't you take some pictures of me? You can be a fashion photographer."
I'm glad that they have a very good sex life, but I also feel it's really out of place. Especially for especially for an anniversary issue with issue 300 where we're like, oh, okay, a lapsed fan, I'm going to find a monumental issue. Whoa, this is not the Spider-Man I know. He's getting a lot from the supermodel.
It's interesting too. I mean, we're in the future here in 2017 and we know what happened, which was stupid. But I feel like this couldn't be a permanent status quo, right? Like this is too much.
Yeah, he's too happy. She's gonna die soon. One of the how many times she's died.
He's getting far too much casual sex.
And I mean, their drama is that he doesn't make as much money as her. That's where they've had to go with plot lines for his romantic life. So
that doesn't even really make sense. I know she's like a fashion model or whatever, but unless you're at the very top of that, I don't think you're making six figures all the time. It's a really
she seems pretty high up.
I mean,
she seems like she's got pretty steady work.
I mean, that was the era with Christy Brinkley and Kathy Ireland and Cindy Crawford. So if she was in that echelon, she could have done really well.
Well, yeah, if she's at that echelon, she would be doing really well. But I think that's making her too successful.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's...
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and this is also, it says this is the 25th anniversary of Spider-Man, I think is what these issues were saying they were. Which is a little... Yeah. So we're halfway through Spider-Man's run at this point. Because Spider-Man...
Yeah, 1963.
Yeah, so Spider-Man's 55 years old now. Yeah, it's fun to read this. This is kind of the era that I know Spider-Man is being married. So I'm actually okay with this.
I'm okay with it. I think it's overall pretty well written. As hard as it is to kind of come up with something that's going on, it keeps me interested, and it's not too... sure, it's about as repetitive as comics might be in this era, but it's also about as well written as I think they kind of could be.
And Mary Jane is more interesting than she was in the Raimi movies. So
I definitely agree with that.
She doesn't
especially I don't know. Can we jump to that third issue where more adventures in the second one?
Yeah, let's just skip 299 until the very end.
Because at the beginning of that, I guess the very end of 299, she comes home and it's like, Peter, oh, good to see you. And, she sees that costume, but that's not Peter, that's Venom. And she is terrified.
That's a great reveal. That's a cool reveal because obviously Venom hadn't been seen ever. We know Venom and we've known him for 30 years. But it's a really nice reveal of, it's a dude in Spider-Man's costume, but with weird teeth. This is kind of fucked up and weird, and I like it.
I
lot.
appreciated it. Yeah,
I like it a lot.
And McFarlane does a nice job of drawing him like bigger than Peter, so you're like, oh yeah, like that's clearly like once he's in kind of focus, you're like, that's not Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm,
yeah, but it's not
like it's just big enough. Yeah,
but it's not what like Venom became either. It's
right.
with,
it
like,
seems kind of small and a little too human compared to what Venom is now.
Yeah,
like
because
very
teeth aren't sharp. The eyes are like actually like smooth lines as opposed to kind of weirdly drawn.
Oh yeah, I love that kind of orca element that Venom got later. That was a really cool design choice.
Mm-hmm. It was.
yeah. But I mean, it still look like it still has the same effect. I think seeing it like for the first time here, it was a nice reveal. And then at the beginning of 300, Mary Jane, like just the terror in her eyes, like her. I thought the explanation was kind of dumb. I was like, no, he just wanted to scare me or something like that. But
I mean, that's fine.
That's fine. But she was terrified. And I really like this is the first time I really kind of appreciated McFarlane's art. Even going through this, the flashbacks, a lot of Eddie Brock's flashbacks as Venom, they kind of have a very slightly grittier style that I thought worked in a weird way. Like, I don't know.
Well, it's subdued Image Comics.
Yeah.
So it's
right. Like, it didn't go out all the way. Like, it didn't go like, I'm going to go full grit now. It was like just enough.
Yeah, it's really nice. I like his art in this book, and I can't imagine being seeing this for the first time and trying to figure out what it was like. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's different than the comic and the movie is how Venom is revealed. Because all of this happened pretty much in rapid succession in both, obviously, the movie and in the comic, where it just happened. And in this thing, Peter's like, I wonder what could have scared her. You know what? I bet it's my evil suit from God knows when I got rid of that evil suit. Like, he instantly goes to, yeah, that sounds right? Just based on her telling me the story. Even though I thought that suit was dead, whatever. This is probably it. And gosh darn it if he wasn't right. But I like
genius.
Yeah. And I like Eddie Brock has a more muted reason why he was disgraced and actually has a problem with Peter Parker. And I like that. I mean, I don't remember what it even was from the cartoon or from the movie, but this one was Eddie Brock thought he was working on a story to reveal and break like the true identity of a supervillain, and then he wrote a story, and then Peter Parker Spider-Man is like, no, I'm the good guy. I know actually who the bad guy is, and it's not that. And so Eddie Brock was just basically disgraced as writing fake news, and then had to go and write like tabloid journalism from his nice cushy Daily Globe job. And I really like that. That's why he's got his beef with Spider-Man.
Yeah,
and then or with Peter Parker rather. And which is also cool that like this is one of the first ones that's like really just pissed off at Peter Parker, doesn't really give a shit about Spider-Man. And then
but the suit has such a beat.
Spider-Man.
Right. Like my old suit is now evil and wants to kill me, which is I think that's a very interesting and compelling storyline. I
think it's a
like
great
that.
merger, and I think that's probably why Venom is like one of the last great new villains for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been 30 years. I can't think of many ones that have stuck past this era. Carnage, but
Carnage is about it, but he's based on Venom.
Yeah.
So. It's just more of the same. What about Toxin? Isn't that Carnage's kid?
I mean, Mr. Negative is okay, and Mr. Negative's in the new Spider-Man video game, but Venom's the guy.
I wanted to say I love the panel where Eddie Brock is thinking about all the ways he's going to kill Spider-Man, and he's wringing out his throat. Like, it's so cartoony and so like out of place, but in a perfect way that just shows you kind of like what's going on in his head. I really like that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I know we're talking a lot about Todd McFarlane's art, and that's to me good, but it's really interesting to me because, like you were saying, Vince, this is, 1988?
Right.
Marvel Comics for so long had really been, I mean, Jack Kirby hadn't worked there for a little while by this point, but everybody, like Al Milgrom and all these other guys were really influenced so much by Jack Kirby. And this is one of the first artists where you're like, his influences are like, I mean, it looks like Akira or something like that is an influence, where it's very stylized, but in a way that is like clearly not just Jack Kirby.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that's where Marvel changes.
Although I will say I've got some beef with his art. A little bit later, he goes to visit the Fantastic Four, and the thing.
No, that's the status quo at the time. The thing looked like that.
Oh, he did. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. I was gonna say he looked like a dinosaur with maple syrup poured over his head.
Yeah, that was Steve Englehart's Fantastic Four. Do not read it. It is bad.
Okay. All right. I had no idea. I thought maybe Todd McFarlane fucked it up. All right.
No,
Yeah,
it's just
my
the status
mistake.
quo at the time. That's when the Thing was dating a female superhero named Ms. Marvel, who then turned into a rock monster like him because she trusted Doctor Doom to fix her, and then he didn't. It's don't read it. It's bad.
Is she the one who is now running around with like a suit that looks like the Thing, so that she can keep the Thing powers? No, wait, no, we read that.
No.
No,
That's different.
there's FF with a girl, a she thing with pink hair with Mike Allred, who wrote it about 5 or 6 years ago. But I don't think that's her.
Boy, yeah.
That's like Darla or
You know,
Marla.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a girlfriend of the Human Torch, I believe.
Okay.
I think she might be a girlfriend of Ant-Man too now, because I kind of think I saw her pop up in an Ant-Man comic recently.
That would make sense because they were on the team on FF together.
There we go. Okay,
Oh,
cool.
There
cool.
we go.
It all works out. Anyway,
That's-
Spider-Man.
Yeah, so back to the actual fight here.
Yeah,
'Cause, you know, they meet up, and it's pretty cool. He gets a gun from the Fantastic Four that blows sound, because that's Venom's weakness. And it's a pretty entertaining fight, you know, going through, talking about the backstory while they do it.
Right. And we haven't, because I don't think we saw it in the issues we read, but leading up in that thing that Vince mentioned, the origin of Venom or whatever it was, there's like 5 cameos that Venom made where he would like show up in like one panel and like fuck with Spider-Man. And so he's like, oh, how come my spider sense isn't working? So like Venom like follows him somewhere, and then like he's fighting him, and he's like, oh, like I can't use my spider sense. So it's kind of cool that he just has this one enemy that like he just can't use one power against.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that.
I like it a lot.
It's also
And I like
very
that
good.
slow burn. Like, obviously, I don't want to just read 5 issues just for one panel of Venom, but I can imagine reading that is like a very cool concept. Like, what is this thing that doesn't trigger his spider sense? And then this is where and it builds to actually something that matters and actually sticks around. Like, that's fucking cool. And because you think too many times, you know, you could build to something and it just doesn't stick at all. And so that's pretty cool to me.
One
like
of my
Venom.
favorite details throughout this whole thing is when he and MJ finally move into this new apartment. And his biggest concern is, how easy is it going to be to get in and out of here as Spider-Man? Boy. Like, I really like that. Like, that's a very realistic thing for a superhero to worry about when he's moving.
Yeah, I like the cameos from all his like friends, including the like I don't even know who that was. Was that just someone in the building, the punk that was like impressed with Harry Osborn's hair?
Oh, yeah. Like, all these random cameos from people he's lived with and, like, characters throughout the different decades of Spider-Man. Like, those 2 girls were so 80s. Oh, I don't know who they were. They're very 80s.
Candy and Bambi, and there was and Randy, I think.
God,
where,
the 80s-est names I've ever heard in my life.
That was the most Three's Company I think Spider-Man ever was.
That scene where Peter Parker and MJ went to that Hollywood party, and he went and don't even wanna. That 80s outfit was just a disaster.
His outfit, he looked like Chandler in like the Friends flashbacks to the 80s.
Yeah. God, he looked like a damn fool. Jeez.
His skinny tie and his little sunglasses.
Yeah, those sunglasses, man. I want sunglasses like
the sunglasses, man.
that.
I do feel like that's in character for Peter because, like, you know, he's a guy, he's like a late bloomer, you know, like he was a high school, like, science geek until he was like 16. And then, like, suddenly, unexpectedly, he got super buff and attractive. And he's just like, I don't know what to do with myself. I'm just going to dress like an idiot.
Well, and I like that Robbie Robertson still kind of like calls him out on that. Like, so you're still studying science? Like, I remember when I met you, that's what you were doing. Peter's like, I gotta go.
Yeah, he does hint that he's like, I might have to go back to school or something.
Mm-hmm. Which last time I checked the comics, he was like, no wait, no, that was a long time ago. That was the JMS run when he was a science teacher, which I feel like is a kind of good fit for him.
He was good as fit, or as the leader of a multinational and doing all of his missions outside of Shanghai.
Right, yeah,
I don't know about that. That's the Dan Slott stuff, which I do not approve of, but whatever.
Yeah, the international Spider-Man.
I've stuck a lot with Dan Slott's run, and I think it's been more good than bad. But it's been kind of rough since the most recent relaunch.
Yeah,
that was a cool thing though of the first Brand New Day run. That first year of it, despite what they did to him and MJ, they spent like a year not having any. They all had nothing but new villains for that entire first year. None of the classic Rogues Gallery, and nobody stuck other than like maybe Mr. Negative. But I'm glad they at least like tried new things with Spider-Man for a year. And so I like seeing like, oh, this is the first time Venom is like here, and he's a viable threat. But things are a little different than the Venom I know. Like how does he beat Venom? He beats Venom because Venom just ends up shooting all of his webs and tiring himself out.
Yeah, I do love Venom webs him up into the bell to like kill him through poetic justice. Yeah. And then he uses the alien costume to make himself like a Irish priest character, which I was like, I appreciate this. You don't see the Venom costume like, kind of like changing this way, and you're like, well, a priest is like all black and white anyway,
right? Because this is the most Venom I've seen with Eddie Brock's face ever.
Yeah.
Like he's just always in the mask with the cool teeth and the big tongue. Like that's what he's pretty much now. But and then like he runs around out of costume or partially in costume like a lot, and I really think that's a cool look for Venom.
Well, the costume is very fluid, almost like Spawn's cape. But I like seeing this kind of like creativity in that. It's like, okay, if this guy is a little unhinged, then let's have some fun with this. If it has the capabilities to do like shape-shifting weirdness, why not? And I always like it when people go for it, so I do appreciate a lot of that. I think I was honestly really surprised by these. It was better than I thought it was going to be for this era, and kind of I don't know, all this. I don't know why I thought it was going to be so bad.
I
think really it's 80s comics with the first two issues like didn't fucking matter to what we were actually trying to read. They were just like throwaway villain stuff. I mean, to the point where like the villain of the 2 issues, Chance, he just ends up riding back into town. Like
that's fun though.
I mean, it is fun, but like nobody cares. Like,
I really like this. I will say, and this is a controversial opinion, and we might end up covering it later. I reread Amazing Spider-Man basically from the beginning or close to the beginning, all the way through, and it felt like a huge tone shift when they did the Kraven, the Death of Kraven storyline, Kraven's Last Hunt. And I really liked issues like the Chance storyline, where it's just fun, like it's totally in keeping with like the kinds of stories they did. And then to me, like the Venom story works because it's still in the world where they do these like fun stories and like crime stories and whatever else. And then it's like, this is really personal. Like this guy like knows who you are, and like he's super dangerous.
It kind of honestly, it feels like going back and forth in the 60s comics between like the Trapster or whatever, and then Green Goblin in the next issue, stuff like that, where it's some rando, blah, 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 and then like someone who's really serious. And so I get that. It has that same sort of balance between the two of those, which does work well.
Yeah, because I had the same feeling. I had a dread that it was going to be bad, and I was very pleased, especially because I'd read some other Michelin McFarlane issues from earlier in this run, and I was kind of lukewarm on them. I think his first issues with like Doc Ock stories are pretty lame.
And that's the art of the filler issue. In general, like how good of a filler issue can you write? Because those first two were undoubtedly fillers, but I think they were good for what they needed to do. As much as we give it shit and don't care about.
I mean, there's a part where Spider-Man drops himself off in the woods after hitchhiking, and it's like a page out of Metal Gear where he like infiltrates a military base by going through the woods. I'm like, really? Okay.
Like, why not? I thought
but the thing is I love Spider-Man. I will read anything with Spider-Man on it that's like halfway decently written. I love Spider-Man. If you ask me, would you keep reading this? Hell yeah, I'd keep reading this.
All right, so real quick, let's get to the end where Spider-Man finally gets home, and MJ's like, "Oh, I can't do it. That costume, it scares me too much," and so he throws it away and dons the old red and blue, the classic duds. Boy, the legend begins anew, as the scroll on the page says. Spider-Man is back, legending again. Hooray!
This is where it feels like an anniversary issue, and I like it.
Yeah, I really did. Plus, it was a double sizer. Is that how you say it? Double-sized thing. Whatever. Had lots of guest stars. Randy and Bambi and Candy were there. You know, they don't show up just for any old anniversary.
Yeah, Flash Thompson in a very brief cameo.
Mm-hmm. He's Venom now, isn't he?
Is he still Venom?
Yeah, I don't know if he still is. He was for a while.
Yeah, last time I checked, he was out in space being Venom with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
I feel like that was a few years ago now, though.
I don't know. Might still be going on. I haven't checked.
Yeah, Venom sold the costume to Scorpion, or to some other like low-level mobster, and then that guy got immediately killed like the next issue. And then Scorpion ended up with the Venom costume. Mm-hmm. And then Eddie Brock became Anti-Venom, which is a shitty name, but somehow he like heals people with cancer or something, but just uses it to fight crime and, you know, not help the world. And then Flash Thompson somehow became Venom, and it was actually much better written than you'd think. And I actually enjoyed it.
Well, I really like what I've read of it, because it is kind of like Flash Thompson grappling with the Venom symbiote and trying to like get it to like be under his control. And he's like went and visited the planet of the symbiotes or whatever. And
he desperately wanted to be like his hero. Yeah, he so desperately wants to be like his hero Spider-Man. So yeah, I got Spider-Man powers. This is awesome. Yeah. But I'm not as good as my hero Spidey. But the symbiote doesn't tell Flash Thompson that Peter Parker's Spider-Man, whereas the symbiote has no problem with that here.
And isn't Flash Thompson also he's like paraplegic or something, and he needs the costume in order to actually walk around?
Right. Yeah, he lost his legs in the war.
That's what it is. He lost his legs in the war.
But then he became a teacher with Peter Parker, and that was cool. They were both teachers at the school together, and they were bros, and it was fun.
Yeah, what did Flash Thompson teach? How to lose your legs?
I think he taught gym.
I was gonna say he's a PE teacher, but I've never seen one.
Yeah, definitely a PE teacher. So yeah, good stuff. Venom, great through the ages.
And I guess we should say we're
in that movie.
Yeah, that's the thing is like I think Venom needs a slow burn. Like I don't think he's got multi parts to his story. You got to have the suit and you got to have Eddie Brock both be jaded by Peter Parker, and then it culminate. I don't think you can do it like in one story. You have to break it up into multiple chapters.
Well, I also think like the monster itself has to be like, it has to feel like Alien. You know, it has to have those like dripping, wet, sort of gooey qualities that just like creep you out.
Right.
And like there's that like kind of psychological aspect of it that has to be in there, which dancing through a movie isn't going to do that for me.
And I guess we should say what Todd McFarlane went on to do. Todd McFarlane, I mean, he got adjective-less Spider-Man, so just Spider-Man, number one, which sold like 2 million.
Oh yeah, he started writing for a while, right?
He wrote and drew Spider-Man, and it made like 2 million. It sold like 2 million copies, like the best Marvel comic sold in probably 30 years. And he was still getting paid the same. So he organized a walkout with the other superstar artists of Marvel, like Jim Lee. And they went and founded Image. They just all quit Marvel all at once because Marvel didn't respect them, even though they were making like the best sales for Marvel in like a long time.
Wow. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he was being paid well, but, you know, still just like, well, I didn't create this character. So, like, you're just giving me like a royalty if it sells over this number, which basically no comic does today. Mm-hmm. But at the time, he still got a royalty, and so it's like, oh, that's nice. But if I actually own the character, I would be able to keep all of this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so he organized. He got in touch with Rob Liefeld, and Jim Lee was the big. I I feel like they should write a book just on Image Comics, because Jim Lee, I think, was the big one where he was like, oh, I want to be like a loyal guy, but he convinced him to walk out.
I think there's a documentary on it that just came out, or has been out for a while, like on Hulu or something.
Ooh. Let's see. The Image Revolution? Is that
That
it?
might be it, yeah. So check that out if you're interested.
Check it out.
Yeah, I was hearing about that on one of my podcasts recently, and so I thought, like, I'd like to check out some Todd McFarlane, and see.
It looks like the whole thing is streaming on YouTube. So.
Oh, sweet! Well, of course. It's from 2014. Yeah, that's it. So
yeah.
So check that out. Cool.
Venom went on to become the breakout character of the '90s, and then kind of fell off.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man Venom Maximum Carnage, the video game, that red cartridge, man.
Yeah,
that was
who
a
could
classic
forget?
Game. Who could forget?
The green, what was it called? Green something or
Green
other?
jelly. Green jelly made.
Green jelly.
Wasn't Venom also in that Spider-Man arcade game? That's, I think, maybe the first time I ever saw Venom.
I think he was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never saw that arcade game until like 2014.
Oh, really? It was at a burger place we always went to with my soccer team. It was right next to Pit Fighter and Street Fighter 1. So it was the best. It was the best game there.
Isn't Namor in that game?
It's Namor, Hawkeye, I think either Silver Sable or Black Cat, and Spider-Man. Is that right? It's weird.
Yeah, I know there's one girl, I forget who it is, but yeah, Namor was the one where I was like, what?
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
And Hawkeye, I was like, why is Hawkeye here? But yeah, that was a video game that never came home, but it was cool. And so check out some Venom. I would definitely read some more. Or I was looking at this, and Venom Lethal Protector issues like 1 through 6 is also supposed to be pretty good among Venom fans.
I think is that Flash Thompson?
No, that's when he had Lethal Protector was one of the earlier, or was it one of the later?
I think it's one of the earlier ones.
Yeah, he didn't have his own regular comic, but they would basically just do like 4 or 6 part like chunks. And just publish them separately because it was the 90s and you needed a number one, 2 or 3 times a year.
I think that's still happening, buddy. Sorry,
it's true.
Sorry to break it to you. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't know. I don't read 2010s Marvel anymore.
Cool. Oh yeah, Mark Bagley drew it. It looks like
1993. Yeah.
Yeah, I might check this out. I don't know if I'll keep reading I'm sure eventually I'll get around to reading all of Spider-Man one day, but I might jump over to this Lethal Protector thing, check it out. Who knows? Maybe if we come back to the Venom we'll try that.
If that movie ever comes out, I don't believe it will.
Oh, if a Venom movie ever comes out? Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I think it'd be good. I think it could work, but I think a Venom TV show. I think a Spider-Man TV show would be great. I don't know. All right, whatever. Anything else we got to say about this?
Nope.
Spider-Man, Venom, any of that?
Nope, I'm good.
Nope. It's fun.
Oh, all right. It is fun. On to next week, or I guess 2 weeks from now. Our next issue will be all about a 1970s miniseries from DC called Prez. 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 It's about
Perez
a teen who wants to be president or becomes president, right?
Yes. This is my pick, so I want to introduce it. This is about
Justice.
Yes, this is about a teenage president. It lasted 4 issues in 1973, I believe, into 1974, when it was abruptly canceled unfairly.
Whoa.
And it Prez, I think, lingers on in the memory as the greatest character ever created. For reasons we'll see next episode.
Yeah, and it was just rebooted a couple years ago. So make sure you're reading the old ones from 1970s, not the newer, more recent ones. And then on top of those 4, we're also reading an issue of Sandman where Prez appears, number 54.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I don't know anything about this, but it's Neil Gaiman's Sandman. Neil Gaiman was still writing it here, right?
I think he wrote the whole run of it, didn't he?
He writes the issue of Sandman for sure. He does not write this issue of Prez, unfortunately.
No, okay, yeah, that's what I meant. Who? It was Joe Simon.
Joe Simon, the original, the co-creator of Captain America.
So we're gonna read some Joe Simon. We're gonna read some Neil Gaiman. We're gonna read about politics. Oh my God, what an episode this is gonna be!
The day after July 4th, July 5th, that episode will come out. It'll be fun.
Whoa! Oh my God, I'm gonna eat a hot dog and set a firework off into my computer. It's gonna be great. Join us for that. And until next time, Vince, thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
Chris, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Kia, thank me. Thank you. Audience, thank you. We love you. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.